Hey guys, welcome back to another one of my episodes, IDK with Christian, but this time it's IDK Dreamers versus the Realists. And Don, I got a good topic for you. Got a lot of good guests, new guests, and a returning guest. And I'll talk to you about that app when I introduce them. I just can't wait for this exciting moment to happen. I'm telling you right now, the Dreamer and Realist competition. I have a lot of friends who are realists, and I'm a dreamer. And me telling my friends my dreams, and they were like, and blase, all stuff like that. And I was like, I need a topic. We need a topic about this. And so I'm excited. So let's introduce our guest right now. First guest is actually a newcomer, Casey Wild. Hey Casey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. So tell me about yourself. Go ahead.
I'm Casey Wild. I'm 16 years old, a junior at Millbrook, and I would call myself a dreamer, but I'm a realist when I need to be. That's how I would describe it.
So you're like, I looked it up on website, on Google. There's such thing as a dreamer realist, and a realist dreamer is. It's a whole thing. There's a whole different circle. But so you would call yourself more of a dreamer realist.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's introduce our next guest, which is also a newbie, Kaylee Jacobs. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
I'm doing good. Tell me about yourself.
Oh, my name's Kaylee Jacobs. I'm 17. I'm a junior at Wakefield High School. Glad to be here.
And what would you categorize yourself for this topic?
I would say I'm like a combination. I don't know. Like you said, you looked it up. I don't know what the difference is. So.
Well, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that definitely. All right. So our last but not least, definitely someone who came back, a returning one. Hello, Ariyanna.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Tell me about yourself.
I'm Ariyanna. I'm 16, a junior at Wakefield, and I'm a realist.
All right. Okay. So before we get to the questions and stuff, I want to put things to definitions. Yeah. So a realist is a person who accepts a situation as it is and is prepared to deal with it accordingly. So this is more of what I see, I need to see it to believe it type of thing. Also a sense of if it's not there or it's not like present in the situation, I'm sorry, I don't know what I can't help you with that. Now, if you don't know what the dreamer is, it's just somebody who thinks universally. They think universally, and they try to use things not tangible to the world, but tangible through their minds, and they create different new things, also and create new situations and ideas, and I'll get to that too in a little bit. So let's get it started. So the first question I have is for everybody, and I'll go first if you don't mind. And the question is, how were you raised? Were your parents dreamers or realists? How did that affect your childhood? So for me, I was raised as well. Both my parents are pastors, so definitely in the Christian family. But when it came to like how they taught me, is that just faith was the number one thing, and faith and what I thought was faith and dreams correspond. And another word for faith, if I'm not mistaken, a word adjacent is manifesting. Faith is like, I have faith in this. You're like manifesting something to come true. And it's believing in God and all that stuff. But for me, my dad was a dreamer and my mom was a dreamer realist. So my mom had all these dreams, but there was a certain point in time that she felt that her dreams weren't going to come true. So she like migrated towards a realist, saying that I need to see it. I can't. She was afraid of failure, which that's another thing we'll talk about, another question. And that really affected the way my family worked. But on promise, my dad was he's like a dreamer like me. Like how I dream, that's how my dad dreams. So that's why when people's like, Christian, you're unrealistic, I'm like, no. My dad does the exact same thing. It can't be unrealistic. So he really drilled that in me that if you dream the dream and work for it, anything can happen. It might take time. And we're not saying it's going to be overnight, but definitely if you dream the dream, anything that you want could achieve. So let's go to the next person. Casey, how were you raised? Were your parents dreamers or realists? How did that affect your childhood?
I would say that overall both of my parents were probably more dreamers. My dad was more of a realist than my mom, but they were both born and raised in New York, and they met doing kind of dreamer-like activity. They had big dreams for like political change and like societal change, and so they met doing like that kind of work. But it definitely affected how I was raised, especially as soon as I told my parents that I wanted to do theater. They were never parents that were like, no, be a doctor, be a lawyer. They were extremely supportive of my dreams. And I would say they can be realistic about certain subjects, but they're overall dreamers. So I think that gave me a good childhood.
Okay. Ariyanna, how about you?
Um, I'd say like everybody in my family is a realist. So everybody like who I grew up around and who raised me was definitely a realist. And that definitely spilled over into my life because my family's like they're really the type of people like if you want a goal, like make sure that you don't set it too far out of your reach. And I think the main thing is being that if your dreams are too big, then a lot of times like and you don't look at it through like a reality aspect and you know what I mean like analyze what you can do and how far you can go like in your life and the opportunities that you have now that you'll end up being disappointed if you do not accomplish your goals.
Okay. Kaylee.
I would say that, like Casey, my dad was kind of more of like a realist than my mom. But I think they've always like encouraged me to like pursue what I want no matter what, and I've always wanted to do something in like fashion, and so they would be like, yeah, you can pursue that, but they were also realists, saying like just make sure that you set like Ariyanna said, like you can set attainable goals. You know what I mean? So.
Okay. So when I was looking up and doing my research for the dreamer versus realist, there was this thing that said how the point of realist is that they can dream. We're not saying that they're not dreamers, but they think of more tangible dreams, like you said, not far reach, something that it could be if you dream about it, you could do it in a certain amount of time that you want it to versus dreamers, they just dream everything and it could be long term. It might not happen during their lifetime, but they're still dreaming for somebody to accomplish that or see that. So, but there is this what word I want to use? A stigmatism that realists have. No, that dreamers have. Yeah, stigmatism that dreamers have that they want to prove realists wrong. I know I have definitely have that. That I want to prove realists wrong in everything that I say. When they say something, be like, okay, no, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So the question is, why is that there? Why is there this sense to prove realists wrong about one's dream? Is there a fear? Is there a fear for realists that failure is inevitable? So we'll go the dreamers. I'll start with the dreamer for the first part of that question, and then Ariyanna. And then Casey, Kaylee, and Ariyanna for the realist side of y'all. That's the second question, and I'll give y'all some statistics. So, Kaylee, why is there this need to prove realists wrong about one's dream?
Well, I think when there's something that you're really passionate about and you want to pursue it, and like you've made a plan or whatever, you just want to prove that like you're capable of doing what people say you can't do. So
Mhm.
it's not necessarily like a fear of like someone's judgment. It's just like I know what I'm capable of, and I want other people to see that. If that makes sense.
Definitely. Casey.
I think I agree with what Kaylee said, and I think it depends on the situation. Like sometimes realists are doing it out of the good of their heart when they're giving feedback because they want to help a dreamer or lower their standards. But I think for me at least, I find that I really want to prove realists wrong when it's more negative than that and they're saying kind of like mocking what you want. And I think that's something that like a lot of dreamers are driven by motivation and passion, and that's why they have the big goals. And so nothing that you can say can really sway them from that, and it will just make them want to work harder and prove you wrong.
Definitely. I know for me, it's when people tell me that like the mockery way. I know not everybody is trying to like be mocking with it, but there is a sense that no matter if they say anything against it, it's like, are you mocking me? Are you being negative around me? Like what are you saying that you're just saying that you don't believe in me? And I'm like, I'm not gonna have it. I can't, I'm just not listening. It's in one ear, out the other. And there is, I feel so yeah, like what Kaylee said and Casey too, I feel passionate about things. There's this passion, this motivation that I do want to prove realists wrong. And it's children and adults that when they always tell me, oh, you need to find a more linear path, linear. And I'd be like, no, I don't. No, because, and then I'm like, I'm going to prove you wrong. You're going to see one day and you're like, oh, dang. I should have believed in him, and now there's nothing I should believe in him. But there's also what I want to say is that it can be lonely, be trying to prove realists wrong, because you're always motivated to prove somebody else wrong versus proving that you actually can do it. So when you get it, you're like, okay, now what do I do with it? I can't enjoy it because I didn't enjoy the steps that I took for myself because I was too busy think about what do they think about my steps? How do they look when I'm doing all this stuff? What do they think now that all my dreams are accomplished? Is it because then it's not really your dreams that weren't accomplished for you, but it's for somebody else. And that's something that everybody, if you have a dream that somebody says needs to work on, that we need to find this balance that our motivation is not other people. Like it can be, but our biggest motivation needs to be ourselves. It needs to be ourselves driving each other, driving dreamers, realists to something, a common goal or accomplishment to really say, okay, I did this with my own blood, sweat, and tears, and I accomplished something for me, and everybody else can now see it. And that's what we needed. And that's when you learn. So now for our realist sides, is there a fear for realists that failure is inevitable? Ariyanna, you take this one first.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do think that there's a fear of like failure, but I think that there's like a amount of fear like of failure in everybody. But I feel like since realists really like set realistic goals so that there is no room for failure, that it's more like heartbreaking or disheartening when they do fail.
Casey?
Yeah, I'm terrified of failure. I hate failing so much, but I think, at least for me, even though one of my biggest fears is failure, there's a bigger fear of not taking a chance and regretting it. And so it's like, if you put it in perspective and think about, especially if you're like taking a risk, like you might fail, but it's better to look back on it and say that you took the risk than to just think about what could have been.
Definitely. Kaylee?
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like you have to be willing to, if you truly are passionate about something and you truly do want something, you have to be willing to, take risks and fight for it and, work for it. And so I think, like they said, everybody has like a little bit of fear of failure because it's just, you don't want to like mess up something you're so passionate about. You don't want to lose an opportunity. But it's like she said, at the end of the day, it's all about what you're willing to risk and gain for what you want and what you love.
Yeah. So as I was when I was looking at statistics for realists, is that everybody was born a dreamer, a sense of part of a dreamer. As we all like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be mermaid, all that kind of stuff. Like with that, those tiny little dreams. As you mature, and as some kids, they still pursue that dreamers. They keep going. They become more things of adulting or teenage, not really kid stuff. But also some people, they see the failures of their family members, that their dreams failed, or the failures that, as even little kids, they see failures of themselves and like, okay, I may be going too out of my reach. So realists, dreamers turn into realists because the fear of failure was too much, that they decided to try to find something tangible and reachable, that they don't throw anything as far as they catch it. So they try to find a sense of safety in realism, and that their dreams now are not out. I would say out there, and long term they're trying to find dreams that, if it's long term, it's their short term goals, short term accomplishments to get to that big long term. But or there's more short term, as in, okay, I could quickly do this and my dreams accomplished. But they never push themselves harder because they're like, okay, I don't want to fail after this, so I might as well just settle. There's a lot of settling with realists, and that's also, they said, the fear factor for anybody is tremendous, especially if you really can't focus on that. But what I try to do personally, and tell me how y'all approach failure, is when I see failure, and I didn't always do this, I don't think of it as failure anymore. I try not to think of it as failure anymore, but more of it's just not the right time. Because there's not everybody and everything always has something that they're supposed to do in this world. So when you do that, you might get that, but it might not be long. It's going to be maybe a little longer than you expect. And once you actually can accept that and say, okay, 3 things is, I might not be here to see my dreams accomplished. I might be just die of age, and that stuff, like all that. It's sad, but it's true. Also, though, is that my dreams might not come when I want it, but it will come when the world needs it. I love that. Oh my God, that was so smart. Okay, sorry. And then the number 3 is that when dreams are manifested, you're doing it for yourself, but you're not only doing it for yourself anymore. You're doing it for other people that have that same goal. People that are more not interested in that, but when they see that dream accomplished, you're like, okay, let me maybe trail back and see if my dream's accomplished, because he or she did that. So let me see if I could do that. So that's when it came to the dreamer and the realist. They said the greatest relationship is with one dreamer and one realist. The realist job is to make sure the dreamer doesn't soar up to the sky too high. And the dreamer job is to make sure the realist at least could fly a little, maybe just levitate, to maybe push their dreams to try and take risk. So do you believe that? Do y'all believe that the greatest relationship is one dreamer and a realist? But can the realist sometimes degrade the dreamer? Kaylee.
I think it probably varies on based on the situation, because like in theory it would like balance each other out, but you could have a realist who just needs like that one push to follow their dreams, or you could have a dreamer who, I don't know, like I don't know how to like flip that, but I don't think it's necessarily like one answer fits all, because every situation is different, every relationship is different, and it depends really on how willing you are or how open you are to the other person's perspective and their dreams or their plan. So,
Casey.
I think it's less that you need one dreamer and one realist in each pair individually, and more I think you need at least one dreamer and one realist when you're working towards a common goal together. I think that's when it's important to have one of each, because like what comes to mind is like me and Christian in freshman class council when we were both officers. I remember there was one time we wanted to have like a freshman festival, and Christian, being more of a dreamer than me, he was like, let's have a Ferris wheel and like food trucks. And we were like, and I had to kind of be like, I don't know if that's in the budget. Like, let's make it good, but I don't think it can be that good. So I think it's definitely important for dreamers to have someone, not to lower their expectations, but to like set a goal in the middle and help them work towards that, not in like a bad way, not like putting their dreams down, but helping them reach a dream, maybe just not as big as they originally dreamed it.
Okay. Ariyanna?
Yeah, I agree with the both of them. I definitely think that it varies like based on the person and like their circumstances. But I also feel like just from a general standpoint that a dreamer and a realist like will balance each other out, because a dreamer can like help a realist kind of like not be as uptight or like go towards things that are a little more like ludicrous, and then a realist can help kind of like center a dreamer out and tone their dreams down to something like a little more realistic.
Okay. So then I want to see. Then can realists sometimes degrade the dreamer? Then I really got that in. So Ariana.
I don't think it's really like a thing of degrading. I think it's more so like a thing of like coming from a place of love, because I know like Christian, when I give you advice, I'm not like degrading you or like trying to degrade you, but giving you like trying to give you advice on like something, like a way to help you move forward and like get towards your dreams. And I think that the main like reason why it comes off, I feel like, is like degradation or like constant criticism is really like a difference of viewpoints
Mm-hmm.
and like perspectives. So yeah.
Definitely. Casey?
I think by the actual definition of realist that you gave earlier, I think it's totally possible for someone who's more of a realist to degrade a dreamer, but I don't think they're not a realist anymore. That's just like cruel if they're actually degrading you, because I definitely think there's a difference of giving advice and trying to help someone work towards a more realistic goal, rather than like, I feel like with such a strong word like degrading, it means like putting them down and making them feel like they can't do that and they're not good enough. And I don't think that's like a realist trait. I don't think realists are antagonists. I just think it's certain people can definitely degrade, but I think in general realists do it out of a place of love, and just like they want to share how they think about things, and they think that everybody else should think that way too.
Kaylee?
For me, I see it as like dreamers and realists. That's about how you see the world, right? That's about like your perspective. So it's not necessarily that they're trying to degrade you or intentionally, say you're not going to achieve that dream. It's more of like, I see it this way and you see it this way, and this is how like I would achieve it, and this is how you're saying you're going to achieve it. So it's kind of like giving your differing perspectives and your views, not intentionally
Mm-hmm.
like degrading or like mocking somebody for what they want to do. It's just a different.
All right. So this next question is for Casey and Kaylee. And the question is, how does someone manage to be both a dreamer and a realist? Is it hard sometimes with two sides of you fighting against each other all the time? Kaylee, you take this one.
I wouldn't say it's a fight. I say it's more like there are the two sides, you're right, but it's like they're balancing each other out, and they're, like I was saying earlier, it's about the two different perspectives and viewpoints. And so it's you have the realist side that's saying this is how you could achieve that. These are the steps you can take to get there. And the dreamer is saying like, this is my end goal. Like, does that make sense? Like, this is my end goal. And then the realist is like, these are the steps you can take to get closer. It's not necessarily like a fight. It's just more of like a balance.
Okay. Casey.
Yeah, I agree with what Kaylee said. I don't see it as two sides of myself or like a fight. I dream all day, but I take one of those dreams and then realistically think, okay, what do I have to do to get there? What can I do to improve myself? And what smaller goals can I set in the meantime to like help me get there? So I don't think it's not like one side of me is like, I want to be on Broadway, and the other one's like, no, you're terrible. You'll never make it to Broadway. It's more just like, I want to make it to Broadway. And then the other side's like, okay, well, hypothetically, if you can't make it to Broadway, maybe you can do regional theater or something like that. Like I think it's mainly just backup plans, like thinking about like what else I want to do if I couldn't eventually achieve my dream.
Okay. All right. So then this is not in the a list of questions, but I do have a question for everybody. Do you think that the dreamer realists are the actual future in the world, or even like how the world was built in the past, as everybody was like, you can't go to make a new country. You can't do this. You can't build these buildings, this currency, schooling, diversity. Do you all think that for the world to exist the way it is right now, that there was the one person or a group that were two dreamers and like a realist, like they're together in that sense? Y'all could just, whoever wants to go.
I think it was probably the majority of innovators were probably dreamer realists in the way that I think a lot of times with some dreamers, at least, they have dreams, but they just like sit there and dream them. Like they don't like try and like, I think some people expect it to like fall into their lap, while like others will like put in the work for it, which most dreamers do put in the work for it. But I would say the majority of like innovators and pioneers in the past were probably dreamer realists who had a vision of what they wanted the world to look like and laid out steps and plans to work towards that.
Okay. Anyone else want to take that? Kaylee, Ariyanna?
I couldn't think of like a specific like group of people, but I was thinking like entertainers and musicians who are always like, even now today, you still have people that are like, that's not a career that you should pursue. That's not something that you should pursue seriously. And then you have all these people. It's truly their one and only dream, and they work for it, and they are able to achieve their dreams, and they push boundaries, and they're just. I lost my train of thought. They achieve their goals and they prove people wrong. You know what I mean? And they're just like able to do what they love, regardless of what other people are saying.
Okay, Ariyanna.
When you said like a dreamer realist, that's like the future, I thought of like Steve Jobs and like other like tech engineers, because a lot of them did start out having like a dream like somewhere in their childhood home, and then they made that turn into a reality. And I definitely feel like Casey said, there is definitely like a connotation with dreamers that they don't like work towards their goals, and like realists are always like working towards something, and they like get that. So I definitely think that it's good and very important that we have people who are a mix of dreamer and realist, because those are the ones that are going to like push the boundaries and create new things.
Okay, so my last question is, dreamers are always getting constructive criticism from the realists, but with constructive criticism there will be a constructive response. So with that said, is having a realist in your life help or hurt your dreams? Kaylee, you take this one.
I'm gonna say you just have to definitely be aware, the realist, of, you know, getting your point across in a way that's constructive criticism, not just saying this is not gonna work. Like not just blatant criticism. You want to help that person, and I think the dreamer has to realize that usually it's coming from a place of love. They want you to succeed. So it's like both sides, both parties have to be aware of how they are like explaining and how they're receiving what the other person is saying.
Ariyanna?
I definitely agree with Kaylee. I definitely think that like the way that things come across and how you say things definitely does affect like the response you get. So I think it's best to like be very, I'd say like when giving constructive criticism as a realist, it's not the best route to give like tough love to a dreamer because it does definitely come across the wrong way.
Casey?
I think every dreamer needs a realist or two to help them achieve their goals and like set more realistic goals. But I think it can really become harmful if it's all the realists against one dreamer, or like they don't really have a support system. I think it's really important for dreamers to have good support and people encouraging them and helping them to work towards their goals. But I know I've been lucky enough to like always be encouraged by everyone around me, pretty much. But I know for a lot of people, they'll have a dream and virtually no one is supportive of it. And so I think that's where it crosses the line of like being a realist into just kind of being mean and like, I don't know.
Before I was taking break from my personal side of Instagram, I saw this video of Stan Lee, which you don't know, he's a creator of Marvel. And he said something, and I thought it was like, wow, I need to say this on my podcast about Spider-Man and his creation of Spider-Man. And I think, I don't know, it was TED Talk or something. And he said that his publicist and everybody was like, that's a stupid superhero. Nobody's going to like him. And it's not going to work. He blatantly said, it's stupid. Don't do it. It's not your dream. That dream is just not realistic at all. Nobody's going to like the superhero. It doesn't make sense. So, but Stan Lee said no. He secretly published a snippet of Spider-Man on one of his other stories. And everybody loved it. And guess what the publisher said? He was like, oh, Stan Lee, you remember the superhero Spider-Man that we all loved, that I was like so supportive of all the way? You see that? Fake. And he was like, yeah, they loved it. And he was like, oh, they do. So the moral of that story, he said, was that sometimes you have to take your dream without anybody holding your hand, or without the support system that everybody else has. There is sometimes that not all dreams are genius dreams. I'm not saying that. He said not all dreams are genius dreams, but when you do feel like one or two of your dreams are genius and that you really want to fight for it, then your thing is you say you're either with me or against me. It's just bottom line right there, because that he believes so wholeheartedly in that superhero that he said, I don't care what anybody else says, I'm going to do this with or without your help. So then question, we'll talk about more. With all those superheroes that he created, and also with that, how do you feel that his goal to keep going can achieve to your goal? I don't know if I worded it right. To your goal. Yeah, let's just start that. Kaylee.
I was gonna say, like, he created an empire. Like, he created a whole universe that people are so devoted to and such loyal fans of. And so to hear that, like, his team at first was like, that's not a good idea, and now he's one of the most popular characters in the universe, it's just like, and I mean like the Marvel universe, not like the universe. But to just see how he went from just an idea that people weren't supporting to one of the most lovable characters, it's really inspiring. I think about how, like you said, people aren't always going to hold your hand. You're going to have to do things yourself. You have to believe in yourself at the end of the day more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Casey?
Yeah, I think the story is really inspiring and definitely applies. And I remember there was always like in school, they would tell us the example of that same thing with like Albert Einstein, who's like, I mean, we call smart people Einstein. Like he's known to be like the smartest person ever, basically. And I remember they told us stories about how like he got kicked out of school because he asked too many questions, or like no one thought that he would amount to anything. And so I think stories like that, like success stories, are really important and influential, because it's kind of the idea of like people say you won't find success in that, but if no one goes after their dream, then there won't be any singers and there won't be any performers or athletes or anything. So like someone has to do it. So it might as well be you, and you might as well try.
Mm-hmm. Ariyanna?
I think that story is very inspiring also, and it kind of goes to show like really give people like a boost of confidence and like teach them something about perseverance, because he didn't give up when, you know, like nobody believed in him, and he had to believe in himself to obtain his goals.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I want to say thank you guys, and I have so this is the wrap up, and I want to say everyone, thank you for everyone who's listening right now. Thank you for our YouTubers who's watching, and thank you for our podcasters that are listening, and the goals that I have for everybody, because I give everybody a goal or two each episode. So my goals right now is for I want to do one dreamer and one realist. So the dreamer's goal is, don't let anybody say no to you, but let them help you. Now, I know it's like, what? Don't let anybody like say, oh no, that dream's not it. Nope, don't do that. But allow people to say, if they want to help you, to help you. Don't just be like, okay, I'm gonna keep your arm's distance because I don't want you to hurt me with my dreams. Allow them to help you. Yeah. Then the realist side, if you're going to help somebody and give them constructive criticism, you cannot be is it coherent? Or can't be against, I'm just gonna say against, easy word, against them retaliating or rebuttaling with that constructive criticism. That's why there's also a constructive response. They're not gonna just blatantly agree with you. That's just not who we are, no matter what. So you don't expect that to happen. There's going to be a debate. It's not arguing, it's just a debate. So those are the goals that I have. So now I want to say thank you, everybody. Thank you. Our next episode is going to be IDK versus the Asian. Wait, IDK, the United States versus the Asian community. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I messed that up. So yes, that is. It's going to be IDK versus the IDK, the United States versus the Asian community. We'll have it's going to be a good topic. We're going to talk about all this new stuff and old stuff that's happening with the Asian community. We're going to have outsiders looking in. So it's going to be some African Americans, some white, some. I'm looking at all y'all. Y'all are in it. Just want to put it out there. Telling y'all now. This y'all in it. And then we're going to have people that's actually in Asian community tell us what we can do to help without, being overbearing and feel like we're trying to take their power away, because there's some people that do believe in that. So I'm so excited for that, and I can't wait for everybody to hear that. So I want to say thank you to all my guests. Do you have any Instagrams that you want people to follow?
Casey_M_W. That's my Instagram.
Mine is ARI.MN and 2 underscores.
Mine is just _Kaylee Jacobs.
All right, and mine is IDK with Christian. Also, if you please, for our YouTubers, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications to get all my stuff. I sound like a real YouTuber. Okay. Also, if you feel generous in donating anything to help me push forward with this podcast, you could go to my Instagram at IDK with Christian, and it's in my bio, my Cash App. Love y'all. Thank you. Thank you very much. And hope to see you soon. Can't wait. Bye, guys.